So really, ain't nothing in this integration. I need some land. I need some jobs. My people need jobs. We need something so we can build and do for ourselves, and we must have some land. Now, what's your suggestion? What should be my movement? Integrate?
Yeah, equal rights in a mixed society.
In this society, where you still own the government, you still own the train station, the railroad plant, the lecture plant, these television cameras, you still make all the food, you control everything, and I'm like a leech on a dog's back. All I can do is just wait for you. I can't do nothing for myself. Integrating in your society don't mean I'm doing nothing for myself. You doing it all. I want to do something for myself. I'm tired of depending on you. You might get broke one day. Your stores might close. Your gas pumps might cut off again. I'm relying on you now. Can I have my own land?
Thank you for tapping in. It's Brian HRap B. Williams. End of the Bench Media presents A Few Minutes with HRap. Every day I come to you and offer you information that I think it will be helpful to you and everybody in the community. And I want to put this on your mind today because I do believe there's a gray area in the government and we are into murky waters. You have a dictatorial president. You have a government that is practicing those same dictatorial behaviors. And we're putting ourselves behind the 8 ball further, and we're deeper and deeper into the pool table metaphorically. And what I want us to do is always be aware. If you're aware, then you can do something. If you do something, then you can change things. Now, before I start, I want to thank my parents. Every day, I thank my parents, Dolores and John. Without Dolores and John, there would be no me. I wouldn't have created this. You'd be doing something else with your valuable time. Thank you for tapping in. And every day I give you the same instructions. Every time I tap in, I give you the same instruction. The first instruction is, if you are not watching this live, go to www.theendofthebench.com. Even if you are watching live, you can go there and watch it live right now. I am live on my website. And right next to it, every day I offer a Black history information. The information will be advantageous to anyone who attempts to use it or just for the enhancement of your basic knowledge foundation. Now, what I want to do is this. I want to talk about the gray area. A year ago, literally a year ago, I said, we need to pay attention to what we're doing right now. Because if we don't pay attention to what we're doing, they're not going to try to take us back to the 1950s. They're going to try to take us back to the 1850s. Yesterday, I spoke about status changes. Status changes. Your status was invented in with the 14th Amendment. That gave you citizenship. And if you can allow, I continue to say, if you allow people to revoke other citizenships, you are on the table for the same treatment. People keep saying, hey, man, they've been after us. Now, you're right. The United States federal government has had an open and honest attack against the Black community since its inception. The inception of the Black community in the United States of America. And I will say, I'll say the Black community. We were invented in the United States of America. Not people of African descent, not people who were here first, the Black community. The reason we are the Black community is because we don't know our origins. I did Ancestry.com and I found out I was part of 17 different tribes. But that does not change anything. I'm still Black. I am still of African descent. I am still an African. Now, what I want us to understand is race itself is a made-up construct. We are part of one race, the human race, and we are broken up into several hundred tribes. And that's the way we need to look at it. Now, our tribe here is in these United States is a tribe of Black people, almost like the Nation of Islam. They use X because they don't know your true last name. Your parents gave you your first name. The people who took over this country and colonized this land gave you your last name in most cases. Now, that's why I refer to us as Black people. The construct of white does not exist. And I'm not, and people, you don't like white people. Well, more than likely I don't, but that's not what you heard and what I meant are two different things. This is when I need you to listen and not just hear. Your people of European descent are not white people. They're people of European descent, whatever country they come from. They can come from Eurasia, the further east portion of Europe, or they can be part of the Western civilizations, the Spains, the Frances, the Germanys, the Italys, the Romes, so forth and so on. Well, Rome is part of Italy. Excuse me. But you understand what I'm talking about. White is a construct created by people in North America. That's it. Because when you cross the Atlantic Ocean going east, you're not white. You are one of those countries. And that's why the people over here who identify as white and they're loving that white thing, those are the people who have a destructive mindset. And most people who identify with a culture have culture about them. And that's why it's a gray area. You are under attack. And you believe because they're attacking someone else right now, as they simultaneously attack you, hey, once they get those people under control, then they'll be able to focus their entire ire against us once again. We don't need to wait on that. We don't need to wait on the sun to break up that gray area. What we need to do is step up and basically remove the emotion from the participation of our thought process. We don't need to be thinking about our emotions. I don't like. Really, he makes me sick. I don't like who they pray to, who they lay with, what the way they think. And you keep that to yourself. That's your own personal business, because how you feel has no bearing on the reality of the world. Perception is not always reality. Perception is your reality. It's not the reality, and that's what I need you to understand. We are watching the apprehension of over 200,000 people and detained. Some people are being put in foreign prisons. Some people are being detained in prisons. Some people are being housed and recluse and reckless camps that are not suitable for human beings. Like in New Jersey, Miraz Baraka was actually incarcerated because he identified that they didn't have the petition set up to house anyone, and the people literally pushed down the wall of a prison. Push down the wall of the prison. So if I can push down a wall, how many people are being housed in this place, and how many people can this place safely contain? Those people's lives are in jeopardy, and that doesn't involve you. Correct? If you're not a human being, if you're a human being, it directly involves you, because understand, if you allow to mistreat anyone, you'll do your best to mistreat everyone that steps out of line. And stepping out of line is merely speaking against the tyrannical and the dictatorial practices of said government. The people in the House of Representatives, the people in the Senate, it's only 100 senators, it's 320 people in the House of Representatives. And guess what? If you are not one of them, they are against you. Because if it's anybody in those positions that are for you, they all should be bombarding Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. They should be on your radio stations. They should be in your Sirius. They should be trying to get a groundswell of people to support you, because that's what they represent. They are civil servants. Civil, a derivative of the word civilian. Servant means to work for. If they are civil servants and you are a civilian, or you are a citizen of said country, they need to be doing your bidding. Again, this is why I consistently ask people. This is why I ask you to, excuse me, that's the wrong clip. Download that, the 5 Cause app. And it is that simple, because you need to be complaining. See, you think protest is standing in the streets, acting rah-rah, and I'm not doing it anymore. And guess what? I don't want us to do that anymore. But what I want us to do is take the 2025 steps for renegade behavior or radical behavior. And that is get on paper. A lot of people, most people in this country have social media. Most people on social media understand that people like Jasmine Crawford, Dick Durbin here, what's her name? Tammy Duckworth, the governor, Governor Pritzker, Mayor Brandon Johnson. They're all on social media, and we start bombarding them on social media and start using that 5 Cause out, because Tammy Duckworth, Dick Durbin, Mayor Brandon Johnson, Governor J.B. Pritzker, and for my person, Danny, what is his name? Danny Davis. That's the 5 Cause. Those numbers are on there, and guess what? You can call that Illinois office, or DC office, or Wisconsin office, or Texas office, or LA office, or South Carolina office, or North Carolina, or New Jersey, wherever you're from. Call those 5 people. 2 people from the Senate, 1 person as a mayor, 1 person state representative, and the governor, and start complaining. You think it don't count, but guess what? When you call the DC office and the local office, The DC office is documented. We must. Do you understand? We talking about when these countries are quote unquote third world countries, they've overthrown governments with 3.8 on an average. It's been a study done. They've non-violently overthrown dictatorial governments with 3.8% of the population. And their country is not half the size of the United States of America. There was not 330 million people in the country. So just imagine, you're talking about 3.8 million people. 5 million people need to be hitting the streets on a regular basis. If you don't understand why, they have a game plan. ICE. See, ICE and these people, Stephen Miller, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Donald J. Trumps, and what's the new JB Vance, all of these guys, they have ties to certain entities, and those entities are paying them, and those people want cash on return. They want return on their investment. They want returns on their investment. For example, Stephen Miller, he's a white nationalist. He has no qualms about it. He doesn't mind. He's the guy who stood up at the rally in New York and said, "America is for Americans," and ask them who they think Americans are. Americans are not black people. I'm telling you now. Americans are not Hispanic people. I'm telling you now. And guess what? Even if you are not Hispanic and you're not black and you're not even Asian, if you're part of the LGBTQIE community, that means your ass too. So, but what you have to understand is this is what you're up against. And once you understand what you're up against, then you can prepare something to fight. The aforementioned Stephen Miller, him and his crew, they have set up situations to whereas if they can incarcerate so many people, I said this last year, I said they are letting these migrants come here so they can bring them here and later incarcerate them, because a lot of our people, black people, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to identify it or not, a lot of us are not turning to crime anymore. A lot of us start turning to academia and vocation. A lot of people, we're not going to get into the W.E.B. Du Bois conversation. W.B. Du Bois versus Booker T. Booker T. vocation, W.B. academics. Hey, guess what? This is when we stop arguing with each other. Malcolm X, Dr. King, W.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, hell, LeBron and Jordan. We have to stop arguing with each other, because guess what? W.B. Du Bois wanted, Booker T. Washington wanted, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted, the great Malcolm X wanted the liberation of our people, the improvement of the conditions of our people. So you do need vocation, because you need black plumbers, black electricians, black carpenters, black roofers, black masons, brick masons. You need them all. And you also need black doctors, black lawyers, black tech people, and so forth and so on. If we work together, and the ultimate goal is liberation of the people, we're done. As I say every day, the goal is to make your great-grandchildren's grandchildren, the great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren live a better life than we ever even imagined. And, you see stuff like, I'm not my ancestors. You're right, because we've become a nation of punks. And I'm going to talk about that at the end of the show. And I mean every bit of disrespect. I'm not going to say, I don't mean no this. I mean every word of disrespect. We have become soft. We have become lackadaisical. We have become dishonest. And we have taken on the identity of our oppressor. And if you don't like it, hey, man, I understand a lot of people don't like the truth. But that's one of my favorite rappers say, hey, man, you like it sweet, and I'm not giving it to you sweet. I'm telling you now, we are under attack. Understand this. Anytime you stand in front of the world and say, we're no longer going by the list of people who are allegedly or undocumented citizen, we're just going to go to the Home Depot parking lot and round up people. If you allow that to happen, oh man, it's on. No, it's not on. If you allow it to happen to the Latino men and women of this country, you are outside your damn mind if you don't think you're next. People, they are enacting the same type of vitriolic behavior upon them as they did our ancestors. And we're next, because you have people foolish enough to believe, well, that's just them. That's just them. That's not us. No one helped us. We're going to help us. We're going to help us, because if you help people if you have a class up under you and you help people get up off of them, I don't need any friends. You need allies. They didn't do this for us. I'm not helping for you. I'm helping for me. I'm helping for my lady, my daughter, my nieces, my nephew, my nieces, my cousins, male cousins, my brothers, and my friends. That's who I'm doing this for, because all of us have women in our lives, all of us have men in our lives, all of us have younger people in our lives, and we're not helping any other community but our own. See, you don't understand the concept of war. War is the enemy of my enemy is my ally, not friend. It is not your friend. Like your parents used to say, we don't need no more little friends. We got some big friends. They look just like us. But if you allow the bully in the schoolyard to beat up the small guy, then you beat up the medium guy, and you a large guy, why don't you, the small and the medium guy, beat the hell out the bully? If you don't want to do that, you're going to suffer the consequences. I'm just letting you know. It's not about making friends. You don't need to hug nobody. I need to like my woman. I need to like my children, my nieces, my nephew, my grandchildren. I need to like them. I don't need to like you. I don't need to like everybody else. I need to like my tribe. And then we're going to figure out everything else. It is a concept. It is family, tribe, clan, community, nation. That's how you fight. Family, tribe, clan, nation, community, nation. That's it. That's how you fight. And how do you fight these things? You organize. You find out people they don't like us. So damn what? All right, why are you so in love with this concept of everybody liking you? Everybody, look, most of us are religious, and I do this every day. Whether you're praying to Muhammad and Allah, Jesus and God, Jehovah Jireh and the Lord, and the Lord, whatever, whoever you're praying to, if you're Buddhist or you're part of the Hindu world, you are respecting something. And if you respect something, that's all I need you to do is respect that. It's not about being loved. None of those people said love everybody, because you know what? If you ever watch Wild Kingdom and other nature shows, you see lions, tigers, bears, and all this walking right past each other, not bothering each other until one of them gets hungry. It's part of the ecosystem. Being around other people, they're part of the ecosystem. And there's a group of people, white nationalists, that want to destroy everything, and they want to empower everything. I mean, they want to take over everything and empower themselves and destroy the entire ecosystem, literally and figuratively. I want you to understand that Elon Musk is bringing in 700 gallons of fresh water to cool off tanks in Tennessee, in Memphis, Tennessee. They've increased by 36% just by him being there. You know, your chat GPT and all that AI, that those machines need to be powered and cooled off by fresh water. Salt water won't do it. So what are you going to do to take thousands of years of fresh water out of the ground of Memphis? Literally 2,000 years of fresh water. We may not be here in 2,000, but guess what? That water should be here. If it took 2,000 years to make it, that means it needs to be replenishing right now. And if we're using it to cool off machines because you love your information technology, then it's another problem. That's a whole nother problem. But understand what they're doing these things for, because they want total domination on this global situation. And that's just it. Now, it's a few ways to do this. Most people don't want to just go, you know what, let's go. You can go to the Bahamas. You can go to South America. You can go to the great continent. But you can just leave them to their own devices and turn their devices off, and then that destroys them. If you want to stay, you must unite. I ain't asked you to hug nobody. I didn't ask you to make love to anybody. Love your family, like family, and you know the rest. That's who you love. And then everybody else behind that, let them deal with it. See, for example, they don't want you to unite with your brothers and sisters. They just want you to deal with nonsense and foolishness on a regular basis. And you don't have to deal with nonsense and foolishness on a regular basis. You can become a minimalist. And what is a minimalist? A minimalist is a person who purchases things when they need them. Look, am I asking you to turn off your TV? No. Am I asking you not to get a new iPhone? Yes. Because if you got an iPhone that's functioning properly, or a Galaxy that's functioning properly, why would you go get another one next year? Let them jokers pile up as high as the sky. You make the billionaires work for you. See, because it's not enough to have a 50-foot yacht. They need a 100-foot yacht. It's not enough to have a 100-foot yacht. They need a 300-foot yacht. If they can get a 300-foot yacht that costs $100 million, they want one that costs $350 million. It's never enough. But the moment you keep your money in your pocket, that shakes up the entire system. We can no longer continue to fund our oppression. You know, if the NFL isn't treated you properly, I'm not asking you to turn off your TV. What I am asking you to do, a lot of us have friends and coworkers, and just like I said, that clan, that community, that family. What you can do is do what me and my guys do on Sunday. We at my man Skill's house, or we at Steve's house, and it's like 15 of us. Everybody brings something, whether it be food or drink. Watch one television. It's a better watch when you and your friends sitting there arguing anyway. But that's just one television. You're reducing the power of the NFL. You're reducing the power of the NFL. Do what we do. You can even move it from house to house. If it's 15 to 20 y'all, move it from house to house. We can have to do that. What you're going to have to also start doing is having family meals again. I'm not asking you to like your dumb A cousin that gets on your nerves. No, you don't have to like him. But what you have to do is be able to tolerate him and have conversation with him. And you guys educate each other. Everybody is good at something. That's what we have to do. And if once we start doing that, then bam, it is a better community. It is a community that is built on tolerance and not this rugged individualism that I continue to hear people talk, speak, and live on. We can no longer live that way. If you don't understand why I'm saying this, it's because of simple things like this. Do you know, this actually is good news to me, but in some cases, it's a slap in the face. Day after tomorrow will be the last federal holiday of Juneteenth. Thank God Jesus is anybody else you can pray to. The reason I say that is this. At this point, we're experiencing what is called black fatigue. Oh, we're tired of helping the black people. They're always crying. Thank God for that. And you take note of those people that saying we're sick of hearing your problems, because those problems are not our problems. We're just the people that say it the most. You know, we're just the people who has experienced oppression. And I don't want to hear about your damn family. They came over here 50 million generations ago, and we made it from here. But you know what? At no point has anybody on earth ever experienced what we experience here in America. We've stripped of everything that was important to us, whether it be dietary purposes, spiritual purposes, anatomical purposes, like fixing your body, healing agents and things of that nature. We've stripped off all that. We couldn't speak the language. We had to learn the language. And then we were unable, it was unlawful for us to read in that language. In 12 years, we became the most powerful nation on the earth. We are the product of our ancestors. When people, we're not our ancestors, you're right. Because your grandfather wouldn't have tolerated this foolishness that you're dealing with. Your grandmother wouldn't have either. If you think back, if you had the privilege of having a grandparent in your family, those were the toughest people you've ever met in your life. Because they created an entire underbelly nation inside of a nation that didn't even want them. Speaking of which, it's time for the Black History video. I will put this on the screen right now. I will be back shortly because this is extremely important. I want you to appreciate the information that's being disseminated in this video because it's important. I'll be back shortly.
The Black Excellence and Abundance Channel. Many of us know of the great historic community of Black Wall Street that was located in Greensboro, Oklahoma. However, what many of us may not know is that there were several other towns throughout the country that exhibited Black excellence and financial independence. Because of the segregation and the Jim Crow that existed during that time, Black communities thrived on their own. Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma is one of the most well-known. Well, today, we're going to look at several other Black communities that thrived during that time. These communities had their own school systems, banks, economies, hospitals, police. They had all the amenities of that day, and these communities wanted for nothing. The first one that we will be looking at today is the town of Rosewood in Florida. Most of us are familiar with the massacres. Well, here on the Black Excellence and Abundance channel, we are not going to focus on the destruction of these communities. We are going to focus on the excellence and the abundance in those communities. The city of Rosewood was known for being a clean, quiet, self-sufficient Black neighborhood. The economy was mainly drawn from the timber industry, as cedar wood was used to make pencils, which helped the economy thrive. By the year 1920, the residents of Rosewood were mostly self-sufficient. They had 3 churches, a school, a large Masonic hall, a turpentine mill, a sugarcane mill, a baseball team named the Rosewood Stars, and 2 general stores. The village had about a dozen 2-story wooden plank homes, other small 2-room houses, and several small unoccupied plank farm and storage structures. Some families owned pianos, organs, and other symbols of middle-class prosperity. Rosewood is remembered by the survivors as an independent, thriving, happy place. The next thriving community that we will be looking at is a community called...
Now, I stopped it right there because do the rest of the research. You can go to Black History and Abundance here on YouTube. Excellent channel with a whole lot of stuff. Or you can go to my favorite channel, my favorite website in the history of the world, www.theendofthebench.com, TheEndofthebench.com. The reason I want you to go there to see the rest of that video, and if you came in late, you can watch this episode in its entirety. I would prefer you go to www.theendofthebench because me and the people at Black History and Abundance will get credit. You'll watch it on my page, give me a little credit, a little extra traction, and you'll watch the rest of the episode in its entirety. And guess what? You'll be doing me a favor. You'll be helping me help you help me. With that being said, you saw this is why it insults the entire hell out of me when I hear people say, we're not our ancestors. You darn right you're not, because I have yet to see a new Rosewood. Hey, by the way, fun fact, my grandfather, George Williams Sr., is from Rosewood, Florida, and was burned clean out of that town. He was on his own from age 9 until he passed away in 1989. Back to the point. What I want you to understand is this. If they can do that in 1920, how is it 105 years later? Well, actually, they did it, and they probably did. Excuse me. If you saw right there was 1920, that means they started that thing in like 1905. So if we can wait 120 years later, why haven't we reproduced those things? It's because we have the illusion of inclusion. The illusion of inclusion is to stop you from dreaming as big as you want to dream, and you will dream about what you want. Again, I'm working on a few things right now that at this point, if everything pans out, we can start. I'm going to do my best to restart this. And it's not just a pipe dream. I want us to understand it is a manifestation situation. If you don't understand why I'm disappointed, is all you have to do is look at the United States federal government are ending the programs that fund LGBTQ and Juneteenth. They've tied the LGBTQ community into our struggle. No one has a struggle like us. Now, you may even try to say, well, the Indians were eradicated. But you know what? The people who are identified as Indians, they still know who they are. They know their languages. They know their practices. They know their names. They just assimilated into American culture. We don't know any of those things. We know tidbits of stories, and due to science, we can track ourselves back to specific villages, but we don't know for sure. What I want you to understand is this: we have a unique fight, we have a unique struggle, and we must do everything we can to regain and systematically recreate everything that we can from the information that we have. There's no time to continue to attempt to assimilate. If you are going to defund, all of a sudden, it was in Denver, Colorado, they have had a Juneteenth celebration for 10 years. Now, most people, Juneteenth is Galveston, Texas. Juneteenth is all across the South. Juneteenth is big time in Philadelphia. But Juneteenth was introduced to you in the summer of George Floyd because it was put out there because they thought we were about to tear this mother sucker up, but we have no intentions on doing that. Again, uprising is the voice of the people who have been disrespected and denigrated for decades. It's not anger, no, it's retaliation. You cannot put your boot on someone's neck for more than a century and expect them to never uprise and attack. That is how things work. If you kick a wild animal several times, at some point you're gonna, as my grandfather used to say, draw back a nub. Now, what I want you to understand as I tell you these things, if companies are defunding Juneteenth programs, that means that they don't want you to know your history. If you don't know your history, then you will continue to suffer the consequences of your actions. Your history is paramount. Again, I want you to understand how paramount your history is. First thing, you go to hospital, when you go to the doctor, I have a headache and my back has been hurt. Does this run in your family? They tell you what's wrong with you. Does this run in your family? Heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes. Does that run in your family? If it doesn't run in your family, then we need to track it. Track it means back map it. Understand what's the root cause of this. What's the root cause of our behavior here? It is literally a few centuries of tyranny, trauma, denigration, and that's why some of the people in our community behave the way they do in a negative aspect. From a negative aspect, we can no longer live that way. Identify your problems. Once you identify your problems, you eradicate your problems. Once you eradicate your problems, you blossom like the beautiful rose that we are. Now, things are going to be tough. All you have to do is hold your money. If you don't think holding your money means anything, during the pandemic, they were handing out checks. Why? To keep the economy afloat. That means you need my money. If I'm the largest spending community in the United States of America and I keep my money, I also keep power. Then I empower people who are with me. You start doing GoFundMes for grocery stores, for young entrepreneurs. And speaking of the young people, and I remember I told you a second ago, I was going to talk about how disappointed I was in the community. The reason I am, there's a group of elders in our community that I'm thoroughly disappointed in. I'm part of that group. I'm part of it. I'm a junior senior citizen, so to speak. What I want you to understand is this. A lot of people point their finger at the young people and talk about the YNs and these young people are out of control. Look around your house. Look around your family. How many of those young people have you had conversations with? How many young people next door have you had conversations with? How many of your young people, how many of your friends of the young people that you gave birth to, that you reared, have you poured love into and embraced? If any, not many. Most people don't do that. We just sit back and watch and say what they don't do. But guess what? People poured into you. It's a generation in specific that I'm speaking to. The generation of people that let's go back to 1985. If you were an adult in 1985, you were part of the problem. Because your generation sold homes. Your generation didn't tell the people in the northern part of the country to buy homes. Your generation sold those stores, those corner stores, because that wasn't good enough for you. You had to go get that good government job. And you had to go get educated because there was no other way. Yes, it was. There was always a way. As you just saw in Rosewood, Florida, Wilmington, North Carolina, Africatown, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi, and other towns throughout the southern part of the country, from coast to coast, border to border, from Spartanburg, South Carolina, to San Diego, California, from Bangor, Maine, all the way over to Seattle, Washington. We have had situations in our midst, but we let them go because we wanted to be included in something that did not want us. See, the beautiful thing is, if you have faith, you understand, if you mistreat me and I'm in line with what God says, you'll pay the price. That's what I want you to understand. But are we in line with God's purpose? God's purpose says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Treat your family members respectively. Even tells your wife, don't listen to you if you're not moving in a godly way, and vice versa. See, if we want things to work for us, we must also start making things work for ourselves. We don't need the United States government to fund anything. It's enough of us to fund everything that we have. But If you want to be included, then you continue to fight. Simple things like, why are you arguing to be a coach in the National Football League and everybody and their mother talk about it's politics? Walk away. Why are you doing the same thing in the NBA? Walk away. Imagine the Olympics without us. Imagine television without us. Imagine it, or better yet, what if we just downloaded the Mansa, M-A-N-S-A app? Let's start watching Black-generated programs on the Black-generated app and give all our money to Black-generated instances. Instead of criticizing our brother Tyler Perry and saying where he falls short, how about we do this? How about we go to film school, or we start doing films in our homes until we perfect something and present it to our brother and say, why don't you help me with this? Since you can do it better, since you know what's wrong, you should be able to do what's right. That's the problem, though. We love to criticize and we don't love to take action. Well, it's time to take action or suffer consequence. With that being said, I see y'all in about 23 and a half hours. It's your man HRap. Watch to the end. Y'all know I want you to watch to the end. I see y'all in a little while. And I want you to listen to this little ditty that I enjoy listening to on a regular basis. I listen to it when I get ready to go to work at night. But I want you to hear it now and then listen to the very end. Dr. Amos Wilson always has something to say. 2 fingers, 1 word, it's your man HRap, and I am.
More life and more blessings. Rise up and give thanks and stop stressing. More life and more blessings. Rise up and give thanks and stop stressing. We don't take no L's, we take lessons.
And it is necessary for those people who rule over us and who rule over African people the world over, if those people are to stay in power, they must destroy our ability to love each other in a healthy sort of way. This is why